Hi everyone, welcome to the Mindful Living Podcast. My name is Stephanie Robilio and I'm your host. Here we will have real conversations about what it takes to achieve optimal wellness in mind, body, and spirit. It's one thing to know and it's entirely different to know how. As they say, applied knowledge is power, and on each episode I will teach you how to apply the things you are learning so that you can create the change you seek, heal, recover, and be well now. In case you're wondering, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the clinical director for Agape Behavioral Healthcare. Fun fact, I'm also a published author. I write poetry and self-help workbooks, which you can find on Amazon or my website. If you are ready to move out of your own way and step into your power, you have landed at the right place. Keep listening and let's do this. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Mindful Living Podcast. As always, I am so grateful to have the space to be here recording this podcast. We are about 90 days out from this year, coming to an end, and today, now more than ever, I feel really inspired and led to ask you this big question. Are you running from yourself and letting fear hold you back from stepping into your power and becoming your best self? I think for most of us, if we're honest with each other, it is so easy to let the voice of fear get in the way of us taking the steps closer to our dreams and our desires. And this is a completely normal, natural part of our human experience. Every single one of us, we have known what it feels like to feel fear. But here's the deal. More often than not, we feel fear because we are perceiving something outside of us to be a threat. Whether it's taking that new job opportunity, setting a boundary with somebody in your life, or walking away from a person or a place that no longer serves you. We have this idea in our mind that it's going to be a threat to take that step of action. And because we're perceiving that step of action as a threat, we feel fear. And as a result, that gets in our way and it completely blocks us from being able to move forward and tap into our power. And beyond that, really reach our highest potential. And so what I want to bring to you all today is really inviting you to ask yourself, how is your own fear causing self-doubt, perhaps even causing anxiety? And how is it keeping you from having to face maybe the obstacles or challenges that you know you have to face in order to be able to move forward in your life? And all of us, again, as humans, we like to play it safe. We like to stay in the comfort zone. This is, again, a natural part of our experience, but every time we stay in our comfort zone, all it does is limit our personal growth, and it prevents us from being able to move forward in the way that we know is going to support us in not only reaching our goals, but getting on the path of success. And so one way to begin really waking up to this is you have to identify your fears. What are the things that are holding you back? Take the time to write it out on paper. By doing this, it's so interesting. Every time we write down our fears on paper, one or two things happens. Either we realize, wow, this is actually a legit fear, and I need to find a way to navigate my way through this, and it might even require some professional help, like a coach or a therapist. But then there's the other side that sometimes by writing your fears down on paper, you'll realize that it's actually quite silly, the thing that you're fearing, because it's not a real thing to fear. It's just something in your mind is allowing you to perceive it to be threatening. And so when you write them down, you'll be able to figure out your strategy moving forward. And more often than not, hopefully, you'll be able to say, you know what? I thought that this was a fear, but now that I'm looking at it down on this paper, I realize that this doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm just going to scratch that and move on. And so by doing that, you want to also remember that the more you try to dodge your fears, the less likely you are going to be able to really overcome the things that are holding you back. There are so many consequences to running away from ourselves. So many consequences. And I know from firsthand experience because there was a chapter in my life where I was so good at running away from my shadow. I never wanted to face anything in my shadow out of fear. I was afraid of what that would mean. I was afraid of what changes I would have to make. And quite frankly, at that time, personally, I wasn't ready to make certain changes. However, as they say, if I only knew then what I know now, things would have been a lot different for me. But we can't undo the past. All we can do is look at it and learn from it. Look at it and learn from it. So as we begin to end 2023, I always feel like going into a new year really offers this energy of honesty to get really clear about how are you standing in your own way? In what ways are you holding yourself back? And then the big question, what are you willing to do to create change? What are you willing to do to create change? And it really comes back to you. It comes back to us. There's nobody who could do this work for us. We could have the best coach, the best mentor, an amazing therapist, be surrounded by a great network of people. But ultimately, our life is up to us, and our life is a result of our daily choices. And, this isn't to say that we have to deny the hard times or we have to deny the fact that life gets hard. Like, it does get hard. We know this. For me, what I have found is that it's really in the midst of it all, when life feels hard, when chaos takes over, when you lose sight of your why, maybe you even feel like you're spiraling, like in the midst of all that, it's when you choose to show up and face whatever it is that's before you. Because in those moments, those are the miracle moments, those teeny moments where you can stand up and face whatever it is that you once perceived to be a fear or an obstacle and take that step and then the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you are walking through fear. You are showing up even with fear being present, understanding you are not fear, and whatever you perceive to be a threat is not you. I've talked about this in a previous episode, but unless there is an actual threat in your environment, then it really serves no purpose to let fear drive you. You have to reclaim power of that steering wheel and get really clear about the path you're on and the direction you want to go, understanding it's not about how fast you're going. Life is not meant to be so speedy and fast. I know this culture we live in, everything is urgent. But for me, what I have found, it's in the moments where I reclaim my power and I give myself permission to slow down and I remind myself that I actually have more control of the direction of my days, my weeks, my months, my years, and my life. And I believe the same to be true for you. No matter who you are or what you're working on or towards right now or what you're struggling with, you have more control than you think, but we have to give ourselves permission to slow down and be still so that we can hear what we need to hear, those answers that come up from within, and then reclaim power over that steering wheel and drive in a direction at a steady pace that feels good to you. Drive in a direction at a steady pace that feels good to you. There is so much power that comes from that. And beyond power, that is the path that leads to the outcomes that serve and support your overall self mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's really the path of wellness, right? When we choose ourselves and we take ownership of our lives and we move at a pace that feels good to us, that is what keeps us on the path of wellness. And the longer we stay on the path of wellness, the better our life will be and the outcomes of our life will be. And so today, whenever you feel led, I would invite you to carve out some space. It doesn't necessarily have to be today unless it works for you, but make some time sooner than later to really write down on paper what is holding you back. What are your fears? What are the thoughts that are creeping up that are telling you you can't do it or you're not worthy of doing it? Get all that stuff down on paper, and then take an honest look and see what makes sense. And if it makes sense, great. We'll figure out a strategy for how to move forward. And if it doesn't make sense, then just cross it off. It sounds so silly, but cross it off. Don't even waste another moment of your time or energy giving it energy. Because remember, where you place your attention, you give your energy, and where you give your energy, you give life to. Think about that. Your focus and your attention is your superpower. If you continue to focus on the things that you don't like about yourself or the things that you think are going wrong in your life, or you focus on what you're feeling fearful of, guess what? All of that is going to grow and grow and grow and grow to the point of consuming you. Whereas if you redirect your focus and you place your attention on what you like about yourself, your strengths, what's going well, your goals, your dreams, and fuel all your attention into that, I promise you, you will find that if you consistently practice placing your attention in a direction that serves and supports your highest and best self, in time, you will find that you will start to feel a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And the outcomes of your life will also begin to get better, 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 and better. So remember, all of this is up to you, and you can do it. You can absolutely do it. If you feel like you can't do it, then I also invite you to maybe call a friend or somebody in your life, maybe even a coworker, and ask them, have they ever been able to still show up in the midst of fear? And I guarantee somebody in your life is going to be able to relate and share a story, because all of us, we know what it feels like to be held back by fear. And if we have the courage to show up when fear's there, then we also can all agree that we still can show up even when fear is in the room. So this was short and to the point because I am working on a really big project that I cannot wait to share with you all, but it's been a moment since I've had the space to jump on here. And today was the day that I just felt led to come on here and ask you, are you running from yourself so much so that you're missing out on opportunities? Really think about that. Are you running from yourself so much so that you're missing out on opportunities? So today and always remember, you don't have to be anywhere or become anyone other than who you are moment to moment. So learn to love yourself as you are in the moment, accept yourself as you are in the moment. And most importantly, my goodness, be kind and be nice to yourself every single moment of every single day. And if you fall down, know that it's okay. You are allowed to fall down. The question is, will you get back up, and what are you willing to do to get back up, right? Falling down is part of the process, but you have exactly what it takes to bounce back and get back on the path that you're working towards. So I hope that you will choose to end this year strong by choosing yourself, so that when 2024 comes, which it's right around the corner, you can go into this new year setting yourself up for big success in mind, body, and spirit. And stay tuned, because before this year ends, I will be dropping a new product, and I am so excited to share it with you all. Until the next episode, lots of love. Thank you for joining me today. If you found today's episode to be insightful and inspiring, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And I kindly ask that you please leave me a review so together we can help the next person. To learn more about my products and services, check out www.themindfulliving.com and come connect with me on Instagram at mindfulliving.now, where I share daily inspiration, mindful skills, tips, and more. Until the next episode, stay mindful and always remember the power that lives inside of you.